Welcome back to the Build a Nation Challenge. It's crunch time, and it might be the last season with Suðuroy. Yes, you heard me, possibly the last season with Suðuroy. If we don't get another team from the Faroe Islands into the Conference League phase this season, we will move to a new club and let Suðuroy hopefully keep going on its own, while we try to bring another club up to their level. But that's only the worst case scenario. I think it might be one step forward and 2 steps back if that happens. As the AI isn't going to control all our loan deals, have an awesome tactic, or manage the finances the way we can. But the Faroe Islands can't improve much unless the other teams start contributing as well. Our current squad is young and has room to grow, along with having lots of talent in our youth system. With us possibly moving on next season, I'm not going to spend too much money in this upcoming transfer window. However, there are 2 areas where we might want to add an extra player. We only have 2 pure central midfielders, and having a youngster as a third option might be a good idea. The area with the most question marks is our left fullback position. Sindri Eggertsson and I couldn't agree on a new contract, and as a result, he asked to be transfer listed. This isn't great, as we might end up needing 2 more players here, and one of them needs to be of decent quality at least. We have 3 games left in the Champions League group stage, starting with Liverpool. I sincerely don't think we'll get anywhere close to earning a point. And they did win 2-1, but it was a lot closer than I expected, with us scoring a goal from a free kick. Still, no points this time around. Once again, the board is expanding the stadium, this time adding 44 seats at a cost of 5 million. The transfer window is open for business. As always, we start with the departures. 12 players are being released, though none of note. Just players not worth renewing contracts for. Additionally, 4 players have been sold for small amounts to other Faroe Islands clubs. We didn't go to extremes this time, only signing 10 players worth 8.7 million. I've been slightly more selective, focusing on 5-star potential only. One of the new players is Jan Erik Johansson, a very decent defensive midfielder. He's better at that role than both Tonsberg and Henrik Holden, so he'll take the spot as the more defensive option ahead of them, though I'm not demoting the other 2. I'm also promoting Ahmed Kanzari, a very talented fullback. However, as he's very one-footed, we'll only use him as a fullback to take advantage of his great physical abilities. Nikolai Dusink is the final player I'll promote for now, filling in the spots we need. He's 17 years old and more of an attacking midfielder, but we'll retrain him as a central midfielder, where he'll take up the 3rd spot. First big transfer, and not one thrilled about. The man with the impossible last name is moving to Juventus for a fee of 3.2 million. We're doubling our money on him, and we've also loaned him back for the upcoming season, but I'd rather have kept him as our player. Sindri Eggertsson is also moving to Italy. We already knew this was coming, but I would have liked to get more than 2 million for him, as I think he was our best fullback. Still, we're not losing money. He's just hard to replace in terms of the quality he brought. Oh no, Kozlov has broken his leg. That's almost the entire next season he'll be out. Alright, we're moving Sylvester Marchak up to the first team again, and shifting Theodor Jacobsen to the other side, as he's probably already as good as Kozlov as an inside forward. That should fix the problem. I'm also promoting Fanar Davi Hafsteinsson, who has been at the club for almost 10 years now, though he's been out on loan quite a bit. I think he'll be a fairly decent inverted wing back and is considered homegrown, so he'll be good for our Champions League registration. Okay, so Dortmund in the Champions League. Can we get anything from this? I'm gonna say no. This is very likely going to be a loss. We gave away a penalty after 27 minutes, and Bjarnson is nowhere near saving it. But we do come back in the second half with a very nice header from Blyberg from a corner. Call me surprised. We got away from the yellow wall with a decent 1-1 draw. That's 1 more point than I expected, and looking at the statistics, I think we snuck out of there with a result we didn't entirely deserve. Last match, and it's against Ajax. For once, it's very simple. If we win, we're guaranteed a top 24 spot. If we draw, we'll likely still make it. And if we lose, we're probably not going to make it. It ends without any goals, and thank goodness for that, because we were definitely not the better team. We'll take the point from Amsterdam and hope it's enough to get us to the playoffs. Yes, it absolutely was. We ended up in 20th place, and look at that, Ajax also sneaks into the top 24, which is nice for them. If the game could be so kind as to give us Copenhagen in the knockout playoffs, I'd be very happy. Nice. We finally got the easiest draw we could. The first leg of the playoff is at home, and I expect us to win it. I hope we can take at least a 2-goal lead before heading to Denmark. Well, this is definitely not what we wanted to see. Them scoring first might be foreshadowing how these 2 legs will go. Julian clawed one back with a beautiful free kick goal. Love to see it, but we need a couple more, please. Oh boy, this is not looking good. Not only are they scoring again, but they might also be the better team out there. Thankfully, Blyberg reduces the damage and brings things back level. Full time, 2-2. So a draw. I can't say we're happy with that, but at least it looks like we were the better team by the end. Still, I'm not feeling comfortable about the second leg. I'd go so far as to say Copenhagen is a slight favorite to win it. Alright, here goes nothing. It would be nice to say we're the biggest team in the Nordics, but to do that, we need to slay this lion. Giving away a penalty in the first highlight after 6 minutes doesn't rhyme with being the biggest club. How disappointing. Full time, 1-0 to Copenhagen. It's not that we didn't have chances, we just didn't take them. I think this will end up as our worst campaign in many years, especially with the fact that we're still not getting any other teams further than the playoffs in the Conference League, combined with likely ending up with a new low in coefficient points. We have way too many strikers in our setup, so once again, Aron Haraldsson is getting cut, along with Zivkovic, who are also demoting to the second team. Another season is starting in the Faroe Islands, with us winning the Super Cup. This year, it looks like Klaksvíkar has taken a huge leap forward in quality, as they now have 7-1 odds to win the league, largely by loaning a lot of our best talent, of course. Nice! Our vice-captain and longtime member of our first team, Skage Bruun-Hansen, who has actually played 9 years for us, can now call himself a Faroese citizen. Also, Kristoffer Quist Svensson is now a Faroese citizen, which should really help the national team quite a bit. The transfer window is closing. We've sold another 5 players, mostly for peanuts, but they're players we needed to get rid of. The prominent name is Noah Tolf, who played 86 matches for our first team. We've also managed to loan out 47 players to Faroe Islands clubs, bringing the total to 107 players out on loan. That seems to be about the amount the Faroe Islands clubs can handle. I still believe we could lower our total number of players from 228 to below 200, but with better potential. Yet another first-team player is changing nationality. This time it's our central defender, Matthias Olsson. Half a season later, we're unbeaten and have won everything so far. The transfer window is open again, and we've only signed 1 player. Yeah, maybe I should have done slightly better, but I just didn't find many good deals. The stadium expansion is completed, and we can now accommodate 15,266 spectators. We're selling Tobias Pavolsson for $150 million. He's played 5 seasons for us, but is someone we can easily replace. In fact, we already have 4 other central defenders in our main squad, so this is just a nice little profit on someone we brought in for nothing, who's also 29 years old and won't get any better. Coefficient points have been updated, and I'm happily surprised that we actually got a decent outcome from last campaign. 750 points, which is probably 2,000 more than I expected. I suppose those wins the other teams had in the second round last season are contributing more than I thought. This one is going to sting a little. Geir Julian is being sold to Juventus for 4.5 million. He's one of our best talents, and while we're turning a profit of over 3 million on this deal, he was likely worth more to us to keep around. But he wanted to go, so we'll let it happen. Anders Schreiber is transfer listed by request, but I'm going to promote him as the replacement and see if we can increase his value while also making him our 3rd best option at the club. Well, how about that? It was actually a record high fee for any Faroe Islands club. The transfer window is shutting down, and it was rather busy. Besides Julian, we also sold another 5 players and loaned out 10 more players to Faroe Islands clubs. Skandisha Teto is our opponent in the second qualifying round. I'm not going to lie, I can't tell if I've ever seen that name before. They seem to be a North Macedonian team, and based on their estimated value, this should be 2 easy wins. It was never really a question of whether we'd win, but by how much. In the first leg, the answer was 12 goals. In the second leg, we scored another 5 goals, making it a 17-0 result on aggregate. maybe the most surprising thing is that we didn't score more than that. In the third round, we're up against Slavia Prague. Not the easiest opponent, but still one we should beat without too many problems. Over in the Conference League, we only have two teams. Klaksvíkar won their second round game, but Stramer, very disappointingly, got knocked out. And for whatever reason, I'm not entirely familiar with the details. It looks like our Europa League qualifying spot is finally working, as Vikingur is competing in it this year for the first time ever. They managed to win their second round game, which is really nice. The first leg against Slavia Prague at home was a massive disappointment, ending 1-1. We should have won this by 3 or 4 goals, and now we're in a situation where we need to worry quite a lot about the second leg. Alright, this has suddenly become a pretty big match. In my book, we should still be favorites and easily win this, but stranger things have happened before. There we go, a really strong header from Jakola at the near post from a corner. But Slavia Prague strikes back just 2 minutes later with a shot from just outside the box. Typical. After 90 minutes, it's still a draw. We're missing way too many opportunities for my liking, and I'm genuinely worried that this could be the biggest disappointment in 5 to 10 seasons if we don't make it into the Champions League this year and lose in the third round. In the 113th minute, we finally scored again, and like the first goal, it came from a corner. This time, it was our captain, Ole Peterson, who put it in. You've got to be kidding me. We gave away a penalty in the 119th minute, and Bjarnason couldn't get his hands on it. Well, that means we need to win the penalty shootout. At least we have Bjarnason in goal, who we've seen in the past can be a bit of a hero. But this is definitely not what we hoped for. We're starting with Blyberg, who, of course, isn't going to miss. Unfortunately, Bjarnason looks like a sack of potatoes, diving the wrong way on their first penalty. Svensson steps up and he buries it without any concerns. Bjarnason doesn't look much better the second time around, though he did pick the correct side. The man with the impossible name smashes it in. He might be a sack of potatoes, but he's our sack of potatoes, and this time he dives the right way and saves it. Aureliusson is up next, and he picks the same side as the rest of our players and scores. All Bjarnason needs to do now is save it, and we'll win. Unfortunately for him and us, he still looks like a sack of potatoes, and their player puts it high into the net. Okay, but we've got one more chance to win it, as long as Jakola scores. Oh, come on. You've got to be kidding me. Back to Bjarnason to hopefully save us from what's turning into a nightmare. This sack of potatoes clearly isn't up for it today. How did he not save that? Well, now it's all even and Severson steps up. Thankfully, he scores with ease. Come on, Bjarnason. This is going to be it. No, you absolute sack. You're not a hero today, apparently. We're down to players who shouldn't be taking penalties. Olizan steps up and actually scores a decent one. I'm not even going to look. It's not going to save it today. Nope. There we go. The sack jumped when he should have stood still. Stenold is next, and he looks like someone who should be taking a penalty. That seemed rather easy for him to score. This is taking forever. Bjarnason, please just save it. Yes, finally, he stands his ground, and he's a hero again. Well, that was a crazy match, and it honestly should never have been this close. But I'm happy that the game sometimes throws us a curveball to keep us on our toes. Otherwise, it would be boring. In the playoff, we're going to meet Maccabi Haifa, which should be as easy or hard as Slavia Prague on paper. Hopefully, we can convert our chances and avoid more drama. Over in the Conference League, Klaksvíkar managed to win, so they'll be going into the playoffs. Unfortunately, Vikingur didn't make it to the Europa League playoff, as they were beaten by Dynamo Kyiv. The first leg ended 3-1 to us at home. I would have liked to see one more goal, but I suppose a 2-goal lead should be enough to secure the win in the second leg. The second leg was possibly the most boring game of the season. The only highlight was US scoring the 90th minute from a corner. So we won 4-1 on aggregate and will be playing Champions League football. Well, here we are again. Same old story. Klaksvíkar got extremely unlucky with a draw, facing Aston Villa in the playoff, and obviously, they're going to lose that. That will ensure we're going down a much more drastic route. I'm going to start looking for a new club that we can bring up to the level of Suðuroy, and this might even happen this season. After all, this is our 15th season, and we haven't managed to get any of the clubs into the league phase. It's time to switch things up. Our Champions League fixtures, for once, don't look completely crazy. Only Manchester City, Real Madrid, and PSG are likely to be too much for us. We've signed 4 players from the academy this year, which might be one of our best intakes. Well, how about that? A massive surprise in the first game, where we took the fight to City. A 0-0 draw, and we even played a lot better than I expected. Getting away with 1 point is a really good start. We won the league title, but unfortunately there was no celebration scene this year. One thing I hadn't thought about is that we're on a pretty long contract with Suðuroy, and the board made a very good point, saying it would cost any club a hefty compensation fee to get us in. So, I think what we'll do instead is resign at the end of the season, unless someone is willing to pay the fee before that. There we go. It's now official. We'll leave at the end of the season. Big match time, as I feel like this home game against Copenhagen should be 3 points. Can we skin the lion this time? It might very well be, as 43 minutes in, the man with the impossible name scores a goal. And Ole Petersen makes it 2 right after the second half starts, heading it in from a corner. There we go. Full time, 2-0 to us. A very good game where Copenhagen never had a single highlight. 4 points after 2 games is a really good start to this Champions League campaign. Alright, another important match, this time away from home against Young Boys. Another 3 points would be absolutely amazing. A very good start. Johansson, our segundo volante, puts the first one in after 5 minutes. In the 79th minute, we double the lead, with Blyberg scoring this one. And late in stoppage time, Aureliusson hits the bar with a missile of a shot, followed up by Blyberg finding the second ball to head it in. Full time, 3-0 to us, and another clean sheet, making it 3 out of 3 with 7 points in the bank. Honestly, these first 3 games couldn't have gone much better. For the last time, we'll be stepping on the podium together with the boys from Suðuroy. A bittersweet end, but it's time to try something new. The league ended with Víkingur in second, Klaksvíkar in third, and Havanar Boltfelag taking 4th place. I'm not 100% sure when, by the game's design, we'll actually resign, or when the game acknowledges the end of the season. But it definitely won't be before we've played against Real Madrid, which we did lose 1-0. But again, we did a lot better than expected. It was a very even match. This will definitely be the last game we play for Suðuroy, and we've got the Romans to deal with in this final battle. It starts well enough, with Blyberg getting yet another goal this season. What a legend this man is. Oh, no way. He does them real dirty here, stealing the ball right off their defender and catching them off guard. Blyberg is an absolute legend, and there's no better way to see your last game at a club than with an academy player scoring a goal too. Henrik Holden gave us the 3-goal lead. Brilliant, just brilliant, full time, 3-0, and a perfect end to our 15-year career at the club. And for the last time, we'll take a look at some of our outstanding performers this season. Well, at least for the last time at this club. We're starting with Martin Bay, this season's highest average-rated player, with 7.56, scoring 19 goals and assisting 2 in his 23 matches. Naturally, the top goal scorer is the legend himself, Roy Blyberg, with 31 goals, 5 assists, and a 7.4 rating in his 38 matches. He just never had a bad season, always getting a ton of goals for us. Theo Jacobsen is our top assister for the season, creating 16 of those, scoring 8 times himself, with a rating of 7.23 in his 36 matches. Also, a special last shout-out to Henrik Holden, who, of course, has played his entire career for us, and was the last standing academy player. He's still doing his part every season, though not quite with the high numbers we used to see. One thing that has definitely improved is the national team. This year they were playing in the World Cup qualifiers, and for the first time in any qualifier, they didn't end up in last place. 7 points and beating the likes of Poland is definitely not something to be ashamed of anymore. So, for the very last time, we end an episode on the club page of Suðuroy. The next episode will start with us unemployed and possibly taking quite a few steps back to restart our mission to build this nation. Currently, the only available job is B68, who are getting relegated. But time will tell if it'll be them or if something else opens up.
Catch you guys on the flippity flip.